Well, welcome back, and that, of course, will be forming the focus of our discussion this evening, the latest developments taking place where Nairobi County government has handed over at least 4 functions to the national government. And we're just seeking to understand what are some of the legal and political ramifications of this particular move. And now joining me for more insights, we have with us lawyer Stephen Mogaka, who is also the County of Nairobi lawyer within Nairobi County government, who will be giving us more insights on what really does all this mean. So, Stephen, it's good to have you with us this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Of course, this has come as a surprise to many. In terms of the legal implications, what has informed this decision to hand over county government functions to the national government?
What Kenyans need to understand is that we have a single government, which is seamless, only that it is divided into county government and national government. To that extent, service delivery is expected from government, and it matters not whether it is from county government or national government. And that is why under Article 187(1), there is an express provision in the Constitution that allows switching off these functions from national government to county government and vice versa as it may become necessary. So in terms of legality, the steps and action taken today between the county government of Nairobi and the national government looked at plainly, it does not violate the Constitution or the law.
In which incidences perhaps can this happen?
In clear instances where the function is lying and there are challenges of delivery, or where there is lack of capacity, or where, like in the case of Nairobi, decision-making is a bit challenging, then such situations would call for a relook at where the function lies vis-a-vis what is the service delivery expectation from the public.
What does this mean, for the other county governments? Because some of the services like health function is one that is devolved to the county government, and now it is, sort of going back to the national government in Nairobi County.
Yeah, what that means for devolution is that a county need not die with a function it cannot deliver. Even when a devolved unit finds that the service or the function that has been devolved is too heavy or too challenging, or they don't have the capacity to deliver, then this is a suggested way forward. As for the process, and I want to be very clear on this, the process of switching these services under Article 187(1) has not been defined. It is only a provision that services or functions can be switched between 2 levels of government.
So is that a lacuna in the law in terms of this?
There is obviously a lacuna in the law, but there are certain fundamental provisions of the Constitution which you cannot ignore. For instance, can such an agreement be entered into to the exclusion of the county assembly, which represents the people? That's a question. 2, can such an agreement be entered into to the exclusion of public? Because public participation is so key and so fundamental, and if one skips that particular step, you risk bringing down the agreement. Then there is another legal challenge, because Governor Sonko is not clear, because judiciary created, threw a spanner in the works and created a crisis. At some point, the judiciary takes a position that Governor Sonko should not access office, should not make any decision, because you remember his nominee for deputy governor has for some reason been stopped from being vetted by the judiciary.
So doesn't this further deepen the crisis?
Exactly. What then does that bar mean? And if truly, and we have all along been insisting that the governor cannot be removed merely because they have been charged. An elected member cannot be removed from office or cannot be stripped of their powers merely because they have been charged. And therefore, today, the agreement will need to test, to be tested in the judiciary because it looked like it is mutually agreed between national government and county government of Nairobi that the signatory is governor and it has been executed. Let's see how it gets enforced.
Doesn't this now open another legal battle between, the courts and the county government and the national government?
Obviously, it does. And this is why I say this constitution of ours can only be tested and tried and defined through certain situations of this nature, so that we present this position through our judicial process to get correct interpretation, so that going forward, it will be clear when a decision of switching functions from one level of government to another is contemplated or is thought of, what should be the process. For now, the rules are not there. Your guess is as good as mine, but it is the judiciary that will have now to deal with the determination on whether the process through which national government and Nairobi County have entered into this agreement, whether it is valid, whether it is enforceable, and whether one would ask, if Governor Sonko is facing charges like he is,
yes,
has he done it on his free will, or is it coercion, or is it plea bargaining? So many questions come into it. But at the end of the day,
perhaps as the county government lawyer, were you part of this decision making?
You do not see lawyers involved in this matter, and that is part of the issues that if one wanted to deal with this agreement, how enforceable is it? Because one expects that when the county government executes a document,
yes,
there is a prescribed way in law of executing that document, including placing a seal on that particular agreement. Was that done?
So would we also look at it then as, more of a political move than really a legal one, given the timing and the fact that the governor is currently, there's an impeachment motion in the offing against him?
Yes, if you asked me, this is more a political move rather than a legal move. Because remember that the county government of Nairobi is a Jubilee government. And therefore, President Moi has a duty to deliver to the people of Nairobi and indeed the people of Kenya. So one would say that this is an in-house arrangement within Jubilee to try and bring a solution to Nairobi, and by so doing, they could easily go into that arrangement and execute that agreement. But whether it will pass the judicial test, that is for another day.
Of course, you had intimated that this could be, a way for him to try and also, run away from the impeachment motion, so to speak. But at the end of the day, where is the voice of, the people who voted for the governor in this particular arrangement?
Yeah, as for the impeachment motion, which I really don't need to discuss because that is an affair for the members of the county assembly, and they are within their right to do what they want. But really, both the county assembly and executive of Nairobi County owe the citizens and residents of Nairobi service delivery. So the shenanigans going on, at one time it is Speaker being impeached, at another time it is Miguna not being vetted, at another time it is now an attempt at governor. Really, this drama is needless for a county with serious residents as Nairobi. But we wish them luck, let them do their thing. But as you rightly asked, whether this move is meant to preempt the intended impeachment,
yes,
again, time will tell, because Governor Sonko is a Jubilee governor. President Moi is a Jubilee president. So if Jubilee wishes to lose yet another governor through an impeachment motion, that might not read a very good legacy or history or for Jubilee's performance, and I doubt whether they will support that. Yeah.
The fact that the embattled governor was asked by the courts not to access his office and some of the functions that he's doing, the decision that he has made today, is it binding legally based on what we've been seeing from the courts?
I don't know whether it is binding, because the last time the governor made decisions, I saw the DPP throwing venom I'm waiting to see whether this time round the DPP will be throwing another venom saying that what was happening in State House today was unlawful, was in violation of the terms of the bond and things of that nature. But really, the law, Catherine, is very clear in this country that an elected member of parliament or the county governors, there is a prescribed way of removing them from office. Taking a plea or charging them is not such a way. And the judiciary, with its inventions, must really enforce the constitution that Kenyans have given them. And taking a plea is not a reason to remove an elected person from office, because you cannot strip him of governorship. He's still governor, and he will still discharge the duties and functions of the office of the governor. Yeah, so the question of whether barring them from the accessing office has any meaning in terms of practice, that was supposed to be tested before Governor for Kiambu was impeached, because we really wanted the Supreme Court to pronounce itself on that. But we will wait and see. We will wait and see.
In terms from the political aspect of it, what do you think it means for the political future of the governor of Nairobi, given that the electorate will look at it, he has handed over his functions to the national government. So what really is he left with?
No, Governor Sonko is still left with very many functions. And while we are at that, Catherine, let the Kenyans know that when you move functions from one level of government to another, the resources should and must follow those functions. So we expect to see national government take over the payroll of those people in those 4 functions that have been taken over by national government, so that the wage bill for the county government can come down, and therefore service delivery and the availability of additional money to perform the remaining functions of the city can be more effective. But again, for the future of Governor Sonko.
Yes.
And Governor Sonko is, if you tell me, is an unbelievable person, because we did not expect this to happen. This is the first one that has been pulled, and this reinvents the governor and paints him as a team player. And in the name of the people of Nairobi, remember, he was always saying he is charged.
Would he avoided this by just electing a deputy governor in the first place?
He has elected a deputy governor twice, and the county assembly did not do their job. So you cannot fault him. He has appointed 2 people to be deputy governors, and for some reasons, certain forces have militated against the conclusion of those appointments. And the latest is a bit unfortunate, because when a woman has been appointed to be deputy governor, we have seen lots of challenges and lots of things put on our way from becoming deputy governor. When it happened in Nyeri, I don't know whether it went very smoothly. When it happened in Bomet, it went very smoothly. I don't know why the lady who was nominated to be deputy governor should have been an issue. But that is behind us, and we wish
let's look at the other aspect of it, the county assembly.
Yes.
Its job is to play oversight role of county affairs. So how do they get into this particular matrix? Will the national government now be answering to the county assembly in terms of questions on this particular functions?
Thank you. In fact, the agreement done today between national government and the governor of Nairobi is a serious indictment on the county assembly of Nairobi, because you cannot say that service delivery has failed on the part of the executive to the exclusion of the assembly, which is charged with the responsibility of oversight. So if these functions have been surrendered to national government, it really paints a very wrong picture on the oversight role of the county assembly.
Yes.
Be it as it may, the functions are gone unless the county assembly close them back, because they can say, as a county assembly, they have not approved that agreement, and the status quo can be maintained. So we are waiting to see. We are waiting to see whether members of the public of Nairobi are going to say public participation was not invoked in this, and therefore this agreement was unilateral, and therefore we are going to challenge it in court. I mean,
are we likely to see perhaps also the Council of Governors pronouncing themselves on this, because this could open a Pandora's box.
It is, and this is why I'm saying there are so many stakeholders in this decision, which has very serious ramifications, that puts a food for thought in everybody's mind, because the question is going to be who next and which function from which county are likely to be clawed back by the national government. And more importantly, what is the process of doing such a clawback or return or distribution of these functions? But luckily, one can say the Speaker of the Senate was present, witnessing the
yes,
agreement.
if you look at the composition of those people who are present, what do you make of it?
Well, we don't know those we didn't see in the camera, but when you see the Speaker of the Senate, the Senate is the one that is charged with the responsibility of protecting the county governments or devolved units. So when you see the Senate,
see the composition, the picture is right there on the screen.
Perhaps,
you can see the governor, we can see the devolution cabinet secretary, the Speaker of the National Assembly, and President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Oh yes, and that tells us then that the Senate was acquiescing or endorsing this arrangement, or was part of the background arrangement that culminated in this. But all said and done, the Senate will also be required to pronounce itself on this agreement when the chicken come home to roost. So all we wish is that the consultation continue, and even when there are people dissatisfied or having issues to settle about this arrangement, let public interest always prevail and be our guiding star, because at the end of the day, it is about service delivery. It is about the government of the Republic of Kenya, whether it is at the county level or at the national level. I think President Kenyatta and Governor Sonko and the county of Nairobi owe Nairobians a duty to deliver better services.
But even as we speak about that, we've seen a debate before on whether Nairobi County should be should have a governor, or it should be left to the national government to run. Are we likely to see proposals for us to change the constitution for Nairobi County government not to really be a county government, but rather to be run by the national government?
That's quite a thought, because one of the BBI recommendations is actually about taking away Nairobi County as a county. And one then would interpret this as the first baby step towards a sort of simulation of what the BBI is talking about, and showing Nairobi County one that is either incapable or lacks capacity of running certain functions, or by consent between the county government of Nairobi and the national government, we could be literally signing out the county government of Nairobi by consent, because really the agreement is by consent that these functions get to national government. So if that be, then perhaps this is one of those testing of the mic on whether or not we will have Nairobi County as a county, or as a unit of government headed by some cabinet secretary or some CEO appointed from State House.
Okay, I'm informed our time is up, but in terms of the magnitude of this decision, what should we expect to see in the coming days, both from the residents of Nairobi, the governors, as well as the legal pundits like yourself?
Of course, as a lawyer, I say that we are testing Article 187(1) of the Constitution, and the time to test it is now. Remember, as I've indicated earlier, there are no rules of effecting Article 187, and any citizen is entitled to question the process that has been used to arrive at this agreement, and then we move forward. The other issue that we expect is from the Council of Governors. If they were not actively involved in this decision, does that mean then that a county can unilaterally sign off functions the way Nairobi County has done? That is a question, a food for thought for the Council of Governors. The assemblies in this country have food for thought. Okay. Will their governor just wake up and go and execute an agreement without bringing a motion for approval in the assembly? So there is a Pandora's box that has been opened.
Okay, there's just a quick question here. Someone asking, how does that move bear with the Senate, which ordinarily oversights counties?
I have already said I
Yeah.
saw the Speaker of the Senate
Yes.
witnessing the agreement.
Yeah.
He is not there by default. I'm sure he is there by design. But again, that is a question that Senate will
does it need, you know, the Senate in itself to pronounce itself, or the Speaker can speak on behalf of senators?
Obviously, the protectors of the devolved units are in the Senate. I expect that this matter will be placed before the Senate, or questions will be asked at the Senate.
Yes.
And I mean, they have a duty to comb this and ensure that it is the right thing being done for the country, for the people of Nairobi, and more importantly, that it sets a precedent of the procedures any county is going to follow when wanting to attempt or go the direction Nairobi County has gone.
All right, thank you very much. Our time is up, but we appreciate you finding time to come and just give us insights on what really is happening. And of course, we expect to see a lot in the coming days. We'll continue to have this discussion as we try to unlock and understand what really is happening. Well, we have been talking to lawyer Stephen Mogaka, who is the Nairobi County government lawyer, just giving us insight on some of the decisions that were made today. Nairobi County government surrendering at least 4 key functions to the national government. What really does it mean? We'll continue to get more reactions as we go forward. This touches on all the county assembly, the Senate, and of course the people of Nairobi County. We end this discussion, but we continue focusing on our news. And in other news now, as we move on, we'll take a quick break, but when we come back, I'll be telling you about what has happened to the senator for Narok County, Ledama Olekina, who was arrested and released earlier today.